the top. The papers and everything is on the top. I'm just loving this song. Listeners, hello and welcome to KIKI'S Chat Show. Today is Wednesday, 24th of January, and here we are again. The topic today is gossip, the effect it has on people. We all do gossip. Now, gossip needn't be bad, but it can be bad. Gossip is something that we all do. I gossip. Everybody gossips. We all talk about things. We all talk about people. Sometimes it's a secret somebody shared with you, and then you are supposed to have kept it to yourself, and then you end up talking about it. I'll play some more music and I'll come back and we'll do this gossip thing. Today I'm in to play all jazz, hip life, but the jazzy part of hip life. I like jazz. I like listening to the instrumentals and all of that. So intermittently we shall have jazz. But meanwhile, the conversation today is gossip. Gossip is something that is in our life. It is in it surrounds us. Now, gossip can be good, but it has its bad sides. We all gossip. I gossip with my friends. Gossip it doesn't mean to be hurtful sometimes. Sometimes somebody makes a passing comment and then somebody else hears it and then it becomes a big problem. That is not good. However, sometimes it is not meant to be hurtful, but then it is. Now, I can't say I will not gossip tomorrow. However, if you keep it in your mind that when you're talking about something, you are careful what you say. And when you're talking about someone, you are being mindful of the fact that if the person hears it, they're not going to be upset. If you are, I mean, there are times when in my family, I have a vast array, and the strangest thing is, I don't know how it is in other people's families, but the majority of the people in my family are women, and we do gossip about each other. Now, not all of the gossip is meant to hurt the person when they hear it, but maybe somebody did something, somebody said something, we have to do something, so we talk about it. Maybe somebody went somewhere and did something that was not nice, so we will talk about it. That's gossiping. Once you are talking about someone who is not there, you are gossiping about them. So one has to be mindful as to how we do gossip. Now, the meaning of gossiping is in different terms, and it is, it even enters into the legal jargon where the meaning of gossip to a lawyer is slander. Now, if you talk about somebody and the person gets very upset and it affects the person so badly that the person is in an emotional trance and the person cannot deal with life because of the gossip that they heard about themselves, that is bad and that is dangerous. Now, let me tell you about some gossip that someone said about me. And it hurts me so much purely because it was not true. Story goes like this. One day I'm chatting with one of my sweethearts, and then in conversation we were talking about something and someone's name cropped up, and she said, "Do you know, I heard that you were having an affair with this guy?" I nearly fell off my chair. Now, the man I'm supposed to have been having an affair with, he is actually my cousin. But it's not mother or mother's, it's cousin, my mother's cousin's son. But I've known him since I was a child. His sisters were my best friends. His sisters were my friends. I grew up with them. We lived on the same road in Ridge, and, we used to pop into each other's houses. This guy that they were talking about is a little bit older than us. Therefore, I never viewed him as anything else but like an older brother. I didn't even notice him that much. He was in and out. When we were in secondary school, he had already finished and he was traveling, going to Nigeria, doing all sorts of things. So it wasn't anyone that I was in my mind's eye. I was so upset when I heard that. And what was even more painful is that, to me, that is, it may not be painful to you, but to me, it was because I liked his wife. She was I thought, because we used to do family things and we were all in and out and all of that, I used to chat with her. And as we grew older, one day I realized she worked near where I worked. So we were I thought she was my friend. Not knowing that they thought that I was having this wife and her mother thought I was having an affair with her husband. I'm still very hurt about it. Now, I mentioned it to the man's sisters, who are my friends, and they said, "Oh, why don't you ask her? Ask her that, is it true? Are you thinking?" But then again, I don't like confrontation. And then again, even if the time span, I don't know when they thought this, and I don't know even when they were gossiping about this. But I am still very upset about it, and I am going to be quite unforgiving on this issue. And even though I'm telling you this is me, this is from my heart, and I want you to see how deep gossip can be. Now, this kind of gossip can break families, because I can decide that these people have talked about me, it is not true, and therefore I'm not going to deal with the family anymore. However, I can't do that, because this is a family that we really box and coax together. We've been doing that for years. The father is very, he's one of the eldest in my family, etc. So, gossip can ruin people's lives. Gossiping is dangerous. And some gossip, sometimes you are the last person to hear about it. And sometimes you are oblivious. You could be dealing with people and someone has gossiped about you, and then you're chatting with them, you're being friendly, when they could do something dastardly to you because you don't know, it's not true, and yet they have said something about you. Now, I'm giving you this example because this is how gossip is. This is how it can ruin your reputation. Now, if other people know about this or people have heard this, it is not true. And yet, here I am. I never knew about this, and yet people are thinking about this. This is why I feel that we should be careful as we grow older. We should be careful how we talk about people. And sometimes also, somebody could tell you something and it's not true. Try not to believe it, because if you go and meet the person and you really get close to the person, you might find out that all of the things you've heard are not true. Now, there are different types of gossip, and there's one which people call, it becomes Chinese whispers. Now, Chinese whispers is when I come and tell you that the wolf is in the pen. By the time the 10th person hears it, they will be saying, the wolf has eaten all the chickens and is now married to the hen. That is a Chinese whisper. It is far removed from the actual truth. Now, these are the things that happen when we gossip about people. The information is invariably wrong. And whilst you have ruined the person's life, you have even added more to it that is even causing more stress. There are people who, purely because of gossip, they have killed themselves. They have committed suicide because they are projecting a sort of person that they think the world is seeing them as. And the next thing they hear, people are saying something totally different about them. And when it's like that, you become depressed, you become insular, you are afraid to go outside, and then the next thing you know, they've committed suicide. There is another type. The way that gossip affects people is in workplace, in your workplace. There are lots of people who go to work. A woman called Christine, a friend of mine actually, she got a nice new job, not knowing that where she was working before, the women didn't like her. And because she was getting promoted quickly. So when she got her new job and moved on to the other office, a totally different establishment, different place. One of the girls who hated her met someone as they said, oh, Christine is coming from your office to us. And this woman said, oh yeah, she's bad, she's evil. She sleeps with the bosses to get promotion. And she doesn't do any work. She's always sitting around letting others do her work for her. If you say this about someone and it is not true, you have really wrecked her life even before she entered the office. So anyway, this woman, Christine, she didn't understand why it was taking her a long time. People didn't like her. If she said hello, they would say hello and then walk off. She could, you know when you're new to a place, when you start working somewhere, somebody befriends you, they show you where the canteen is or where they buy their sandwich. She was totally ignored. It's only the men who were being nice to her. She didn't understand it. Unbeknownst to her, gossip had preceded her. So they talked about her before she actually started working, and therefore people had created an idea of her which was not true. This is how dangerous gossip can be. Legally, you can take someone to court if they gossip about you in this way, and it's called slander. The legal name for gossip is slander. Now, if you gossip about somebody in such a way that the person isn't, it affects the person so much, it affects the family, and it just wrecks their lives, this is slanderous, and you could be taken to court. Therefore, we have to be careful what we say about people. Now, why is it that we can be so mean to people just because we don't like them when they haven't done anything to us? It is these issues that we have to be careful of. Somebody is calling me while I'm on air. I don't get it. What is wrong with people? I send out adverts. This is somebody who has seen my advert or I've sent it to them, and yet they're calling me while I'm on air. It's crazy. Anyway, even when the gossip is spread with the worst of motives, sometimes somebody wants to ruin your life and they gossip about you. However, it is educating because you know what is acceptable behavior and what is not. And sometimes you can try and deal with it. I mean, people believe that when you know who talked about you, you can face them and say, why did you say such and such about me? However, it depends, because if that person did not like you and therefore had the strength to talk about you in this way, they may fight you. They may even say more things. There may be an argument. Somebody is saying defamation of character. Yes, they have defamed you. They have wrecked, they have created something about you which is not there, and that's really bad. I cannot face people. I don't like that. I don't like arguments. However, there are some who can. If you can, please face the person. Ask them, why did you say this about me? One of the problems we have in life also is for teenagers and young people who, they can't deal with this. It makes going to school difficult, going to college difficult, because somebody has said something. If you are a young person and someone talks about you or people are whispering about you, whether you've done it or you haven't done it, you have to be strong enough to answer back and say, stop it, it's not true. Or you can, that's if it's not true, Stand on your ground and say it's not true. Or keep going to school. Ignore them. When we are young, we don't realize that there is a tomorrow. Time passes, people forget. When people talk, like, the It Girls or the groups that bunch together and then say horrible things about you, ignore them. If you can't face them, ignore them. Let them say whatever they want to say. Just keep going to college, keep going to school, go for your lectures, let it pass, lead your life. You have friends. If you have friends who are not in that group of gossip, just keep going with your friends. These people will get tired. Sometimes it is our reaction to things that makes our situation worse. So if someone talks about you, say, and it's not true, and you cannot face them or ask them to stop, but you know that there is a reason why they did it, even if you don't know the reason why they did it, but you don't want to talk to them, ignore them. Most times, when people try to be horrible about you, it's because there's something about you that they want. Sometimes it is because they are jealous of you. They are envious of you. Look at that woman, Christine. She wanted me to mention her name because she feels that this is something she went through and she wants people to share in it. She wants people to be aware that she didn't deserve the treatments that she was given. And she dealt with it in a way where she began to try and be nice to the other people that she was working with. And slowly they realized that what they had said was untrue. And that is the way it works all the time. It's jealousy. And jealousy will kill you. I know there's this song out there about jealousy, but I can't find it. That Castro sang. I have to find it and play it. But you see, we go through life, and sometimes because of the norms of the society, when someone says, especially, for example, you go to a certain church. Now, everybody dresses in a certain way. Everybody behaves in a certain way. And you come in, maybe you're like me, Afro wig, red lipstick, tight, something, your ass is not showing, but the shape is in your clothes. You've got your boobs. I have it. It's God-given. So you've done your bobby stand, etc., etc. And then some people will talk about you. Why are they talking about you? Is it because they wish they could be as bold as you and come into church in that way? After all, you're covered. Nothing is showing. It's just that you've packaged it in an interesting way. People will talk about you. When they talk about you, it's a form of gossip. And gossiping sometimes is a form of bullying. People will try and bully you and try and belittle you. And it's, the thing about gossiping, which is very painful also, is that when you are being gossiped about, you are on the outside and all of them are in a clique. So just imagine that you enter into anything, an office, a church, a classroom, and then everyone's looking at you. They look at you up and down. And then you sit down and you can feel it, that even the people behind you are looking at you. People, if you get that feeling, especially my young listeners, if people look at you in that way, pay no heed. It's jealousy, it's envy, it is a form of bullying. It is a way of trying to make you feel inferior, even though they're the ones feeling inferior. Be yourself. Don't allow this. If they go and talk about you to somebody else out of the group, or maybe there's somebody else who's your friend and they go and tell them something about you, it's okay. they're not the only people in the world. Believe me that when you are in school or college or something and you have this experience, when you come out of it, you will realize that, why did I allow this to bother me so much? There is a big world out there. These people don't count. They do not count. If you are in a group or among friends and suddenly your friends are whispering about you, leave them. Let them go. You will meet other friends. You will, all of this teaches you. It strengthens you. So particularly to my young people who are listening, because now I know that a few young people listen to me. Let it go. Let it go. Just trust that there was something good about you, and that's why these people are being horrible to you. You will be fine. You will be fine. I'm going to play some music for you because I've been talking non-stop for half an hour. So I'll play some music and then we can carry on with this show. Now it's all jazz. I'm playing pure jazz today, and it's hip life jazz, and it's nice. Sax, and the song is called Strong Thing. I've never heard it before, but I just like the way that the sax is playing. I hope you like it too. Today I have only 1 hour, and last week we talked about single mothers and how wonderful they are. Somebody sent me a poem, but they sent it to me in my Facebook inbox, and I hardly go there. So I found out that I had this poem in my inbox, and I promised I'd read it. I may, but if not, the single mother topic will come in all the time. Maybe in 2 weeks' time I'll talk some more about single mothers, and I am exalting single mothers because I think they do a great job. A single mother is the mother and the father. Most times a single mother has been left, whether it is because the gentleman died, or he decided to go off and find himself, or he, for whatever reason. I am not talking about women who willfully make themselves single mothers. I don't know, they're thinking about that. But divorce and general situations in life can make you a single mother. And I think when single mothers look after their children, they always, these children come out, if they understand the situation, they come out strong. So I will read the poem, and I promise to read the poem, and I've got it with me, and it will be read in 2 weeks' time. Now, today the topic is gossip. Now, you can call in if you want to join in with this chat on 0203 735 8820 or 0203 286 0185. You can also text 0793 286 1328. The topic is gossip. Gossiping is quite dangerous, and I told you the story of my situation when people gossip about me all the time. And truthfully, to tell you the truth, it doesn't bother me. However, there are times when the gossip is so untrue and is so deadly that it could ruin people's lives. And when the gossip is that bad, it could even make you a recluse. It could make you want to commit suicide. And that is not a good place to be. And it is because of that that we're discussing gossiping now. Now, people do not realize that you could even sue them. You could take them to court. And that is called slander, defamation of character, all sorts. You could take and prove it that the person did this, if you can, that somebody has tried to ruin your life, your working life, your relationship with people, etc., etc. So we all should be careful. Now, this is not to exonerate any of us. I have gossiped in my time. And when I say I've gossiped, you can unconsciously gossip about people. People say things to you, you say it back, you have a chat about something. One thing I need to remind you, though, is when someone takes you into their confidence and says something like, for example, I'm having a problem of some sort and I would like you to help me, and then you take that information and tell someone else, that is bad. That is the kind of gossip that is very, very painful. Somebody quoted something this morning on Facebook and it was early in the morning while I was doing my research. And her statement was, gossip needn't be false to be evil. There is a lot of truth that shouldn't be passed around. A lot of truth that shouldn't. So, for example, I tell you something in confidence because I think you are my very good friend. We are close. Something has happened to me or a friend or something, and I'm asking you for advice or a suggestion here and there. And then you go and tell somebody else. Now, as my cousin Wendy said to me one day, she said, your best friend also has her best friend. So when you tell your best friend something, she will also go and tell her best friend. Now, what's that? What is that? If you are my friend and I have told you something, it should stay between us, even if you have your own best friend. Even if you have your own best friend, what about if I am storing all the things you are telling me, and then you go off and tell people what I told you? What does that mean? So that is why sometimes they say gossip needn't be false to be evil. There's a lot of truth that shouldn't be passed around, which means I told you my truth, but I told it to you for between the two of us. That is pure gossip, and that is the kind of gossip that is so painful sometimes. You tell someone something, and then they go and tell somebody else, and they embellish. The worst part is, by the time you hear it, so many other people have talked about it, and now it's something else. We need to take responsibility for some of the things that we do. And it is true, I believe it, when they say that it is people who are not happy with themselves who gossip mostly. People who see something about you that they want, and so they will make it seem horrible. Do you know that in truth there are people in the world who they don't care what other people do? They see you're wearing a nice shoe, it's nice. They don't care. So why do some of us do this? Why do we do this? Why can we not just be happy for other people instead of talking negatively? Is it that we are not busy enough? If you are not busy, there's a caller, so I'll have to take this caller. Hello, caller.
Hey here.
Hello, mommy.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. How are you? How was your Christmas? I haven't spoken to you since then.
I know we haven't spoken because I knew I was listening to your, to the program after Christmas, but I was very reluctant to go into the new resolutions and all that goes with that. So I decided to take a back seat until I heard your invitation. I thought, okay, she's not going to talk about resolutions anymore, so I'll come on board. Yeah.
What have you got for me on gossiping?
Gossiping, like you said, it can be healthy, and when it's not, then it becomes malicious. We've got negative and positive, gossip. And the name that is attributed to gossip in our vernacular languages, like in Fante, you will say enukumi, which is mouth will kill you. The guards will say tabe. The tree will say konkonsa. Is that it?
Yeah.
And then the Nigerians will say amebo. Have you heard about amebo?
No, I can't speak Nigerian, but I'm learning. Yes.
Okay, you have friends in Nigeria. You listen to their music. Yeah, they call it amebo or okro mouth or radio oja. It means a broadcaster, somebody who will take news. But what I'll say is that a news bearer is a news carrier.
Yeah.
We cannot eradicate gossip, but if you want to be sanctimonious and somebody comes to you and starts off with something that you know is going to be negative, like, hey, have you seen Kiki lately? Hey, Charlie, Then you say, you know what? What you're going to tell me, is it comfortable for me to discuss it with Kiki and to let them know that you told me? If the person says no, then say, I'm not comfortable hearing about it. And then you dismiss the person. But if you're all ears and you listen to it, then you are part of the enterprise. You've listened to that gossip.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah, because I've sat in a gathering when someone was talking about, my husband, and somebody asked about him, and then the person said, hey, Charlie, he's married to this, what do you call it, no-nonsense woman called Mommy, that when he's going to have his food, when he comes to the dining table, Mommy insists that he should wear a suit. Can you imagine that?
A suit?
I'm not serving dinner at Claridge's. How could you tell someone that Mommy would make her husband wear a suit to come to the dining table? And I was listening, and I was smiling, and I was partaking in all the, So my cousin sitting by me said, do they realize they're talking about you? And I said, I don't think that she has a clue. But I didn't want to stop her, so I made her go through the whole thing. So I said, really, this Mommy must be tough. Hey, Charlie, you haven't got a clue. Hey, Charlie, you should see her when she cocks up on her stilettos I said, wow. So I said, by any chance, do you know Mommy? Oh, yes, I know him very well. And I thought, you know something, today is going to be the last day that you're going to open this mouth. So I said, Mommy. And you want to see her face drop? Literally drop. And she couldn't stay there for a second. She had to leave the gathering. You see, so this is what you do with gossip. You see, if it was healthy, I'll probably laugh over it and blow it over. But for you to say that Mommy is a no-nonsense woman and she would make her husband wear a suit before he comes to dance, that wasn't good.
Well, this is why they say that gossip brings bad karma.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It gives bad karma, and it isolates you as well, because now people know that especially when you confront them dead on right there in the middle of their gossip. She didn't even know you, and look at what she said. That's bad enough.
Yeah, you see, especially we who work in the civil service and all these public offices. You know, we're all open plan these days, so we all sit in one big arena working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, there are some gossips which are very important. You need to know, because we had a guy who we called Chicago because he was suffering from flatulence and he didn't know when it was going to let off. And we called him Chicago because it's a windy city, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all had perfumes and sprays. We did everything to make the atmosphere a bit bearable, But Chicago didn't know where to call, he wasn't in control of what he did. So when you came to the team, we just said, you know what, you got to get yourself a spray. Why? Because Chicago is in that corner and he will let off at any time. So I wouldn't say that was not a healthy gossip. That was a watch out. You've been warned. But unlike your friend Christine, whose name was, assassinated before in her new department, that wasn't nice, because some people are not. I mean, someone like me, you need to do it to me for me to understand that, yeah, this is it. I don't care what I hear about you. If I like you, I like you. You understand?
Yeah.
But some people are not strong-willed. Yeah.
It's really terrible. And for her as well, when you, as you said, you get into the civil service, there are lots of people there. You try to make friends. Everybody's shunning you. And they see you as someone who sleeps with the bosses to get to where they are. And then they see, these are the things where this whole thing of sexual attack, this is like a sexual attack, because she hasn't done that. She has not done that. And yet they wanted to talk about her, to assassinate her character before she actually joined in a new job. And that's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I don't know if you're in the public, public sector as well, but gossip is prevalent in the public sector. It doesn't matter how well you do at an interview if you don't go to the pub, with them, and if you don't share a gossip, because gossip is DNA in the culture here. As soon as you move away, they will talk about you. It may not be malicious, but they do talk, right?
They do. Actually, I worked somewhere where the strangest thing was, it was the Africans who gossiped more. And what they did was they would gossip about you to the bosses. So then the bosses had a different idea of you. You're trying to do your work and get on with it, and yet they view you as but they're collecting the information from your own person. And it used to, it got to a point I didn't speak to any of them, because I cannot deal with this anymore. I couldn't. And I'm very unforgiving, and I've said that a lot in my on this show. I don't hide it. It is one of my greatest things I pray about, that God help me to be a bit more forgiving on situations. But I can't, because when you slight me that deeply, I can't be your friend. I cannot. And I knew who the people were talking. It's not just me they were talking about. They were talking about other people. But you're the Africans who we have to help each other. You're talking about us to your white bosses.
But you see, Kiki, Kiki, if you go to a workplace and you meet Africans, how do they talk about you if you don't share information?
No, but sometimes it's not information you shared. It is just that they will make snidey comments like, oh, look at her, she's this and that, because they go to the pub, you see. And I wasn't going to the pub because I had to go home. I had kids and I had all sorts. So there was no time. I'm picking up babies and I'm doing all sorts. So they will, while they're there, make a comment here, a comment there. And when they do that, that's it. They are saying negative things about you that you're not aware of. But then your bosses have this idea of you because they are all in the pub with them. Do you see what I mean? They think that these are... Look, what people forget is... I don't want to say color and say the white people see, but they see us in, Look, you're sitting... I was on a train one day, and this is so, it's strange. I was on a train one day, and I met one of my workers. This is years ago. One of the girls' colleagues that I worked with. The next thing I knew, she went to say she saw me on a train with my family. I didn't know the people on the train, but it's just that we were all black. You see what I mean? And that is the thing. That is the thing. They bunch us together all the time.
Yeah, I think it's in our DNA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in our DNA. So the less they know about you, they can talk about you from the... from what they can see, but nothing deep down if you don't share any information with them. Because like you're talking about slander and going to court, you have to prove slander.
Oh, yeah.
You see, yeah. There's always, the third party. You see, the story is yours, mine, and the truth. So if I have to prove slander, I need the person who has heard to come and be a witness. And normally you don't get them.
Well, somebody's just sent a message saying, if you're not being talked about, you are not appearing successful enough. So it's all jealousy again. I think basically that's what, because if you are in an environment where you're trying to mind your own business, and yet still people are talking about you, people are gossiping about you, and then you hear something negative about you, it's very painful. And I gave an example about this guy who is my cousin, and yet people had been talking about me, and I didn't even know. And this is a guy who, I don't want to be nasty or anything, but he's not on my radar. This is not the type of man I would risk life and limb for. And yet, they may find him attractive. I didn't. I just saw him as my cousins, my friend's older brother, somebody I grew up with, etc., etc. Nothing at all did I imagine that anyone would bunch us together, but they did. They did.
Watch out for who brings me the news.
You mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the news bearer. I would rather watch out the news bearers, being a news carrier. Because they've only listened to it, they've come to tell you, they listen to your comments and they take it back.
I want them to take it back. In fact, I'm putting it on air because it was a shock to my system. It was totally, I was blindsided by it. It wasn't one of the people that they would mention that, oh, Candy, and then, no. It was totally off radar. And so let them take it back. And in fact, anybody who's listening who knows this, and take it. And yes, Kamal, you can call in. Suraj, you can call in. The number to call, I've nearly finished though. I've got only 4 minutes. The number to call is 0203-735-8820 or 0203-286-0185. But, you
Okay,
know...
someone wants to call you, isn't it? I'll go off the phone then.
Okay, thank you so much for your call. Thank you. Yep. Somebody else can call in if they wish, and we can talk about it. But someone says, it's amazing how people can fabricate stories and spread them when they haven't even spoken to you before. Well, this is another thing. This is me, a friend of mine, my darling sweetie Charlene and I were talking about it just the other day, that people can talk about you and you don't even know them. You have never even met them. And it's a shock. Sometimes when it's like that, it's okay if you know them and all of that. But if you don't, and they say these things about you, I mean, who are they talking to? And why are they saying these things? And then, of course, the gullible ones will believe it and make it so. Anyway, we've come to the end of the program. I'm going to play some more saxophone music for you. This is Hip Life Saxophone from Yummy Sax. I wish you all well. Facebook people can stay on because we can still chat after the music for about 5 minutes or so. But radio listeners, thank you so much for listening. Oh, somebody is coming on, so I'll have to go. But yeah, Facebook listeners, thank you for listening. Radio listeners, thank you. Online listeners, DAB, everybody. Fine, I'm playing this song. It's really nice.
You know, see what I don't